What's up, guys, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. Before I get into questions, I need to send a real quick thank you out to Danny Stevens, who donated $50 to Patreon, which is just huge. It's unbelievable, so thank you so much, Danny. Okay, moving on to questions, we're going to start with Asher Levi, who asks if deleted scenes are canon or not. According to Pablo Hidalgo, it's a case-by-case basis. Some are and some aren't. So we have Biggs' scene with Luke at Tashi Station. That is canon because it's been included in adaptations of the film. But then we have Shaak Ti's death at the hand of General Grievous from Revenge of the Sith. That never happened. The more widely accepted version of her death is that Anakin killed her at the Jedi Temple on the night of Order 66. So it really just depends. I would say by default to assume that deleted scenes are not canon unless they're included in some sort of canon adaptation of the film. Griffin Campbell wants to know what I think of rumors that Rey and Luke are going to spend the entirety of Episode 8 on Octo. I don't really follow rumors, but I would be very surprised if that turned out to be true. I mean, sure, they're going to spend some time there because Episode 7 ended there. Episode 8 is going to pick up with that same scene. But unless Octo is way more interesting than what we've seen of it so far, they're going to have to do some traveling. And even if it is a crazy cool planet, I just find it odd that our main character would be on the same planet the entire time. That's never happened in any Star Wars film, so I really doubt it. Tyler Neese and Quinn Thedens ask what I think the Episode 8 crawl will be like, since there is no time gap between Episodes 7 and 8. There's always been some sort of time gap between every other Star Wars movie. So Episode 8 is going to be the first one that picks up immediately after. What's it going to be like? They're always 3 paragraphs long. So I think they're probably going to catch us up on the New Republic and Finn and Poe and kind of the state of things and vaguely where they're headed. We'll get 1 paragraph about Kylo Ren and the First Order and maybe where Kylo started to go off to after he left Starkiller Base. And the last paragraph will probably be about Luke and Rey and what they're thinking in that moment. It'll be like, Luke Skywalker has been found by a new possible Jedi apprentice or something. And it's just going to set the stage for, I guess, their first words together. I assume that's going to be the first scene of the movie, but I have no idea. This is all just a guess. Darth Zandrum and Josh McIntyre want to know if we're ever going to see Rey Sloane in Rebels. A lot of people thought that we might have seen her in the last episode of Rebels, but that was actually a character named Captain Brunson. I do think that Rey Sloane is a potential character for Rebels because she was introduced in A New Dawn, which was a tie-in book for Rebels. She appeared again in the Canon comic, which was a tie-in with Rebels. Outside of the films, TV's kind of her last territory to explore. So yeah, I would think she's very likely to show up at some point. She's a vice admiral at the time of season 3 of Rebels. So I could see her potentially maybe being a villain for the last season of the series. That could be kind of cool. Someone from Kanan's past that's trying to help hunt them down. I would definitely like to see her in there, involved in some capacity. Sean O'Brien asks what Adam Driver meant when in an interview he said that we're going to see Kylo Ren's humanity in Episode 8. I would argue that we already did see his humanity in Episode 7. He was already very conflicted, feeling like he's being torn apart. But what he's talking about in Episode 8, I'm going to guess it'll be fallout from killing his father, and I don't think he's going to be handling it as well as he expected that he would. That's it for patron questions. If you're a patron and you didn't see your question answered in this video, just go back over to Patreon in our weekly Q&A thread, and I left you a written response there. If you're not a patron and you're interested in learning more, just follow the link in the description. It's just $1 a month and you get some extra Star Wars Explained goodies, and the combined donations really go a long way in helping support the channel. On to YouTube questions. SW101 asks if I could save any one character from Rogue One, who would I choose? I'm actually going to go with Bodhi, especially after reading the novelization. I feel like he was the most relatable character of the bunch, and I really bonded with him. The book gets you inside of his head very well, and I was proud of him for not giving up. And he just, the whole time, he seemed like the one character that was out of his element, but he kept with it despite everything that happened to him. Despite being tortured by rebels, he stayed with the rebels, and he went on a suicide mission. He was like scared but gung-ho the entire time, so I feel like he deserved better. I think I would save Bodhi. Chris23399 wants to know why Mon Calamari are so often portrayed in leadership roles like captains or admirals. And part of that is because they're leading Mon Calamari ships. So they donated these ships to the rebellion. It kind of makes sense that part of that deal would be that they get to control them. But the Rogue One novelization also touches on this. Admiral Radice, at the very least, is portrayed as being very pragmatic. He is willing to sacrifice the lives necessary to achieve a goal. Now, he's not happy about that, but it seems that the Mon Calamari are just more comfortable with the idea of death. He mentions how many children and how many grandchildren he has, because when they breed, they just spawn a lot of offspring, and not all of them make it. So it's just like, death is a thing, and it's okay if we lose a few people. So I would say that makes them maybe not the most caring leaders, but it would be effective when someone needs to make the tough calls, and Admiral Radice certainly does that in Rogue One. Joey Angotti asks, whatever happened to Barris Offee? Unfortunately, right now, we just don't know, but I agree with you. She would have been perfect as an Inquisitor, and she and the Seventh Sister are even the same species, so I don't know why they didn't just make her Barris. But at any rate, she was originally supposed to die in her final episode of the Clone Wars, but then Dave Filoni changed his mind and said he still had plans for the character. So I expect we are going to get an answer of some kind at some point, but I just don't know when right now. Mon Mothma wants to know where she was during A New Hope. I think that's a great question. The truth is, of course, that the character just wasn't created yet, so she's not in the film, but in universe, where was she? I think there are a couple of options. One is that we just didn't see her and she was there, but that doesn't really make sense. She would have been in the command room. Another is that there was just a scene that we didn't see where the Millennium Falcon lands and Leia goes and she's like, hey, the Death Star's coming. We were probably tracked here. You need to get out. I think that's a likely scenario. If the rebellion is going to survive, they need Mon Mothma off the planet, and they probably just didn't have time for a full-scale evacuation. Another option is that when Alderaan blew up, Mon had to go take care of some business. Maybe Bail was supposed to do something and then he died and she had to handle it. But I'm just throwing out options. That's just speculation. Maybe we'll find out at some point, but right now we do not know. Will Nelson asks why the First Order is so young, and then he goes on to pretty much answer his own question. The First Order is very young because the Empire didn't have any chance to recruit. All they did was train their own children and kidnap new children to indoctrinate. By the time of The Force Awakens, it's been 30 years since the fall of the Empire, so most of the old and experienced officers are dead and gone, and that leaves the young people like General Hux in these high-ranking positions. So yeah, I mean, you pretty much said the answer yourself right there. That's all the time I have for questions today. If you want to leave one for next week's Q&A, just put it in the comments below, or go over to Patreon and we have a weekly Q&A thread. And by the way, I had a lot of new patrons come in this past week or so, so I just wanted to say thank you to all of you, new and old. Your support means so much to me. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. As always, thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you.